So many of us build our career and never even stop to think about our financial wellness. Hi, everyone. My name is Lorene Phillips, and I'm an executive development consultant. And I'm so excited to have this guest hanging out with me and sharing some wonderful information and techniques and strategies around how you can make sure that your career is financially healthy, that you are employing some key strategies that will set you up to succeed for the long haul so that you can enjoy that personal financial freedom. I am excited also about how that will impact you and how it will allow you to thrive even more in your career. I am so thankful that you have devoted this time to come in, hang in, and hopefully you'll get some information, you'll glean some information that will set you up to succeed. It is so wonderful to have this opportunity to sit down with someone who I consider to be an expert in the area of financial wellness. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you're joining from. My name is Lorene Phillips, and I'm the founder and CEO of Clarendon Wallace, which is an executive development consulting firm. And through that platform, we have a wonderful opportunity on the Huddle, which is just, I would say, a 25-minute snippet in which we get together with someone who is an expert in an area to talk about what matters most to us as career professionals, as we're building our career. What are some of the things that we need to be mindful of? And one of the topics that keeps coming up, certainly for me and the clients that I deal with, it's around financial wellness. How are you taking care of your career from a financial perspective? I have my own 2 cents that I would like to share, but I thought I would bring someone in that does this for a living, day in, day out, and deal with clients like yourselves who really want to make sure that they're setting themselves up very early on in their career so that they can succeed financially and have that stability that we're all looking for. So Shane, welcome to Huddle Up, and thank you so much for agreeing to sit down with me and to share your knowledge, information, and hopefully inspire our listeners ways in which they can start being a little bit more mindful around how they handle their money and how they really approach their financial wellness. Thanks for being here.
Thank you very much. And yes, thank you for the invite. It's a great privilege to chat with you again. I know we've had chats in the past, but my main goal really is to help people. I'd love to help everyone with, the world's issues are big, but what I have in control with my life is the financial side. So, yeah.
Yes. Tell me a little bit about your role at Proven. What exactly do you do on a daily basis? And what brought you to Bermuda, of all places? I can sense an accent.
Yes, so I wear a number of hats on a daily basis. I suppose my primary role really is to ensure the smooth running of the business in Bermuda. We've got to deal with the regulators, and there's all sorts of other things I got to take care of, which that's one side, and then management of the team. And then I suppose the primary role really would be to look after clients. It's a client-focused business.
Yes.
And ensuring people are given the right advice at the right time and the right products, etc. I've been in the industry for over 14 years now. Lived all over the world, and I was asked to come and join and look after the business here. I've set up a number of businesses around Africa and managed them, and successfully. They're still going today. I've asked to come and kind of replicate that here. Every company wants to grow. I think I'm quite well versed in that. We'll see. But
okay, all right.
Originally from South Africa, you mentioned the accent.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
It's not one of those accents that's easy to miss. So welcome to Bermuda. So I have a couple of questions that I'd like to just really have a conversation with you about that comes up quite often. And certainly in my experience as a former corporate executive, I do remember asking these questions, and it was always a journey trying to figure out the answer. So I'm hoping that for the time that we have left, we'll be able to give our listeners some really key nuggets that they can consider. So I'm just looking over at some of the questions that I have here. So
Okay.
to start off with the basics, let's talk a little bit about budgeting.
Yeah.
What are some of maybe the top two tips, that 2 or 3 tips or whatever comes to your mind in terms of some really good fundamental things that individuals can start in terms of developing good fundamental budgeting skills?
Yeah, for sure. Look, I mean, this is the basics of financial planning. And, when I do an initial meeting with clients, I'll usually run through a mini budget, to begin with. And you'll be surprised alarmingly how many people actually don't know where their money goes on a monthly basis. So I end up rounding up the questions to how much do you earn and how much is left, because so ask someone how much is your electricity, your phone, your internet. They literally, half of them don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Some you'll get the odd person who will literally pull out a spreadsheet, which is great, and that's where you should be. I know it seems a little bit particular, but you're talking about your money. You work for yourself at the end of the day, so you've got to know where things are going. So the first bit of advice really is to just write it down. Write it on paper or have it in a spreadsheet that you can look up on your phone. You earn X and this is what you spend.
Mm-hmm.
And then from there, you can kind of see, right, I'm spending too much there. Where can I cut down? Even on your food bill, I suppose that's probably one thing you could look at immediately. We all have to eat. Not to say we should eat water with our cereal, but I'm not going to an extreme. But for the most part, people just spend and spend, and they don't have any sort of control or limit. I think that's the key thing, is to have a limitation.
Okay, so having a limit, a budget allows you to set a limit, and therefore being more mindful around how you're spending your money. And you said it earlier, you are working for yourself. I think that's a different mindset. So many people think they go to an office and they work for somebody else, but the bottom line is you're working for yourself. You are working, and in exchange, you are given a sum of money to compensate you for your efforts. And now you have that pot of money, and you decide how you want to spend it. And you are so right. So many individuals don't track what they spend. We could sit here and talk for a long time as to why that is the case, but it's about interrupting or disrupting that pattern and becoming more mindful. Like you said, not trying to make it overcomplicated. Write it on a piece of paper, right? This is what I get paid. I get paid $100. I spend $80 in the following ways, and I have $20 remaining. Just really, really simple. And I think so many times when it comes to financial management, it can feel as if it's complicated, but it really isn't. It's pluses and minuses. Now, a lot of it, I know a lot of it has to do with not just our mindset around money, but also a lot to do with how we were raised in terms of, how did we see money being managed within our families, and how that then replicate itself in how we manage our money. So we know it's not as simple, just write something down on a paper, but that's a fundamental place to start. So another question I have is, there are many people that are either just starting out in their career. Some people are midway through their career. Some people are heading towards the end of their career journey. And what advice would you give based on where people are in terms of investment strategies for either for retirement or paying off that mortgage?
Yeah. Look, with financial planning, it can be complex, because everyone's different. But at the end of the day, everyone wants the same thing. Everyone wants to retire, and retire early, with enough money, and have no debt, and have a great retirement, and look after their family. But there's no other areas, everything can fall into those categories, yourself and your family. Yeah, so with regards to younger people, what the advice I would give is to start as soon as possible. And I know it seems like retirement is way over there in the distance, but once you are there in the distance, 100% of the time you're going to look back and say, I wish I did something sooner. I can guarantee you. When I run through a questionnaire with clients and ask them, when do you want to retire? And they all say to me, as soon as possible, or yesterday. It's like a quirky remark, making a joke, but people say what's truly on their hearts, isn't it? So the reality is they want to retire yesterday. And had they have had that mindset 25 years ago, they may have done so. And now looking back, they've got to work another 10 years or so. So, yeah, the basic principles of that is you've got to start early. And like you were saying earlier now, you have $80 left after your 100. Then what do you do with it? But it's almost like a mindset shift, because instead of looking at what's left, you've got to pay yourself first. You see what I'm saying? So into your savings and investment should be part of your budget. You should have at least 10% of your earnings going towards a long-term savings model, and then you spend your money, not put 10% maybe if it's left over. You got to totally change your mindset. When you get paid, you have a deduction. You pay tax, you pay national or social insurance, and then you somehow make it work after that. And if you had to pay no tax, you somehow spend that money. You see what I'm saying? So now you got to take that mindset and say, right, I'm going to add the savings or investment into my deductibles before I have my money. So it's almost like an after-tax model you got to look at.
I love that. I love that. It's making your, I love the whole concept of paying yourself first. Paying yourself first. So investing in yourself should be on your bill, so to speak, as to what you're gonna pay, and put that in there, as opposed to treating it as what's left over. Then I'll see what I'll do with that leftover, right? So that's a huge shift. So I asked earlier, what if you're in the latter part of your career? What would you suggest?
Look, I mean, things are what they are. We can't go back in time. You've got to make the most of what you have. It is more difficult once you're older, for sure. You'll probably have more liabilities and kids and all of these other things to consider. And literally all we can do is work with what you have at the moment, and do the best that we can. It may require you be even more aggressive on your savings, and for 5 years, no holidays, whatever it may be.
Yeah, I've done that, true transparency. I remember when we were trying to many years ago just disrupt this pattern of spending. We really had to go on a financial diet, a financial diet of literally just doing the bare necessities, and all the extras had to go for a year or two to pay off credit card debts, and just to get everything nice and tight and create a really good foundation to build on. And we can become creative when we need to, right? You don't have to travel off island or leave your country. There are many things you can do and become a tourist at home or in your town or wherever you are. You'd be surprised of the cool places that you can visit. And we did that, and it worked. And so, yes, you are right. When you need to course correct, sometimes you have to do a complete 180 in order to right ship your finances. So what would you say around paying off your mortgage? So if you're like in the middle of your career, and that's probably the largest debt that you have, what are some of your recommendations around that?
Look, it depends on the mortgage. Some of them will have like a fixed rate that they don't allow you to pay more back, because obviously the bank's losing money. They don't want you to pay it back early. They want to keep you in this prison forever. That's how the
I know
financial system.
it feels like a prison, doesn't it?
It is, no,
Yes.
honestly, it is.
Yeah.
They control you with
Mhm.
debt, and you know, it sounds conspiratorial, but it is. It's literally that. The thing is with a mortgage is it'll be a low. It's like a low debt. You know, debt that concerns me is credit cards and
Yes.
loans.
High double
Uh,
figure interest rates, right?
Single figure. That's it.
Yes.
You know, your mortgages are usually single figure.
Hmm.
Now, where I'm from, about 10%. You know, which is high. Locally, we're looking at like 5, UK 5. It's not too bad, but you know, credit card in UK 28%. You know, it's astronomical. Um, so you're better off clearing that sort of debt first,
Yes.
um, because you know, with a mortgage you could have an investment plan running alongside of it to pay it off. Like, for example, if you had an interest only mortgage, you would have an investment plan that pays off the principal instead of just paying the interest and having this sum that never reduces. You know, and the idea behind that is the growth on the investment is far outweighs the interest rate on the mortgage.
Got it.
So that becomes a clever plan.
Hmm.
But there's, again, no point doing that if you've got $100,000 on your credit card, which next year is 130. Yeah.
Yes, I'm not a big fan of credit card debt because I had my moment where I mishandled that, and I remember doing the math and realizing how many years it would take me to pay that credit card debt off. And when I mentioned earlier about the financial diet we went on, it was really to course correct on the credit card.
Yeah.
And once
Yeah.
we did that, now we just we use our credit card the way it should be used, as in you get the points, you pay for your hotels and large purchases, you get the protection
Exactly.
of that. You get to manage your cash flow, but at the end of the month, money is already put aside to pay that off. So you're not
Yeah.
accruing this large
Yeah.
amount of debt that just snowballs and then just becomes a noose around your neck, and it holds you back. And it's like another kind of prison, right? So
It is. Yeah.
yeah. And it's an easy
But
one because banks are making it so easy to have these credit card um credits. You want 5,000, you want 10,000,
no, I mean,
here it is, just
pre
sign here.
2008, that
Yeah.
post them to you, just get it. And it would automatically activate once you spend it. There was no application. You
No
just got it in the
review, no
post.
nothing. I mean, they're literally
Yeah.
I remember once getting a credit card and I think they were offering me like 10,000, and I went back, I said, no, I don't want a $10,000 credit card. I would like 5,000 max as a credit, for travel, etc. I had to literally go into the bank and have a meeting to get them to reduce it to 5,000.
Yeah, you see.
Right? So that's
Mm.
how you know that this whole system is set up to keep you in debt. So you have to be
Mhm.
mindful, you have to have a plan, and you have to know exactly what it is that you want to achieve. So Shane, what are some of the reasons why people come to your office to talk to you about their finances?
Look, the number one reason why people come here is to supplement their retirement. And the second biggest reason is for their children. And again, it comes back to the two things that everyone wants: to retire and look after their family. So we're back to that again. But for the vast majority of people are looking to just have a second pension, like a retirement sort of plan, which is brilliant. That is exactly what you should have. And then people do want genuine advice. A lot of people are not interested in what you have to say, which is fine. They just want a product. I mean, I give advice regardless, it's free, so take it. A lot of people are very, like I said to you, they'll come with a spreadsheet and how can I change this? And they want to have a specific budget meeting, which is very good, because that's where you can really give good service there. So yeah, I mean, we're supposed to be in a financial advisory firm, not a product sales firm. So you got to start with advice, and then from there may or may not follow with a product to match the advice. The advice may be just restructuring things. It doesn't necessarily have to be a transaction on a product.
Thank you for clarifying that, because so many times I can say from my experience, um, maybe 25 years ago, when I engaged my first financial planner to help, both my husband and I organize our financial life for ourselves or retirement and for raising our three kids. Prior to that, in terms of my peers and conversation, it never came up. It actually came up over a client dinner. I was at a client dinner and the conversation came up and I thought, wow, I could definitely use this support. I've never really thought of getting a financial planner. And it's amazing how you get support for all kinds of things, or you pay for all kinds of services. But a financial planner may not be the first person you think of. And now that I'm 25 years along the journey and I'm on
Yeah.
this end, I can tell you, Shane, hands down, it was the best decision that we've ever made. It has allowed us to not just take care of our ongoing finances, but to have financial security and stability while we were raising our kids. And that allowed me to exit the corporate world and to start my own practice. That could
Yeah.
not have happened if I didn't have my financial structure and a financial plan in place. It took me 10 years from the moment I thought about opening up my own practice to it actually turning on the switch in the office. 10 years. And so during that time, it was a lot of putting money aside and investing and a lot of strategy that was involved. So what advice would you give to our listeners right now? Maybe one thing that you could say, here's something that you can start doing, right away. We talked about budget. There's the emergency fund that
Yes.
everybody needs to have. What is that 3 to 6 months of your total monthly expenses?
Yeah, exactly. That is the first thing. I would never go further with someone unless they have some sort of emergency fund. These days people change jobs all the time. Um, we're living in an economy that can change in a second. What if you lost your job? What fallback have you got? You're going to go move back in with your mom, or you're going to go run the credit cards? It's terrible advice to do that. You've got to have a backup. So yeah, I do recommend 3 to 6 months of your living cost of what you would need to live on. How long would it take you to get another job? I mean, we don't know. It could be a year.
That is so true. That is so true,
Yeah.
Shane. I'm thinking of just the economic environment that we're in now, lots of uncertainty. And you're right, the average person changes job 5 to 7 times in their career. That's the average number. And we know that the older you get, you don't change your career as much. But sometimes change come when you don't expect. It could be a redundancy, it could be an acquisition of your company, and now you find yourself without a job. So it is very important that you have that emergency fund. I'm speaking from experience as well. If you can get up to 6 months, I think that would be great, because it does take a longer time to find that next job. And I find if the more senior you are in your organization, the longer it also takes for you to find a comparable job elsewhere. So
There's
you
less
can
of
go
them. Yeah.
6 months to a year, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
to find that other senior job. And that's something else that I experienced. The more senior you are, the more lead time you're going to need in order to find that comparable to job. So you need more funds in your emergency fund. So we've addressed emergency fund, we've addressed credit card debt, and we've talked about fundamental budgeting. And key takeaway for me as well, Shane, is about paying yourself first. Paying yourself
Exactly.
first. Invest in yourself. And you're right. You're so right, Shane. The number one thing we all want is to retire early and to take care of our family, right? And so financial wellness allows you the freedom to be able to do that. We could talk on and on about this topic, but I really just wanted to at least whet the appetite of those that may have an interest or a desire, or may not even know that this support is out there. So what's their best way of reaching you, Shane?
They can phone or email me or come into the office. I'm here. That's probably the easiest way. Or connect with me on LinkedIn, send me a message. I'm happy to chat to anyone. I'm on LinkedIn. You could search me, and my mail's on there. So yeah, but I'm happy to talk to anyone. Doesn't matter who you are.
Great.
For me, it's not about getting paid. It's about helping people. I know it sounds cliche, but you got to build a business based around integrity.
I so agree with that. And, I believe certainly not just to say integrity, but when you have good intention and you treat people with integrity, with decency, and a genuine interest in their well-being, the business will come.
That's it.
Right? The
When
business
you're
will
genuine.
come.
Yeah.
And so you and I are definitely aligned on that, Shane. But thank you so much for your time. Thank you for sharing some really wonderful information, some reminders perhaps for others. Maybe for others, it's new information that they haven't heard before. Please feel free to reach out to Shane on LinkedIn or at Proven. You can jump on their website and you can contact him there as well. And he'd be happy to help you to get started, to get the fundamentals right, so that you can start really taking care of yourself financially so that your career can be sustainable over the long haul. Thanks so much, Shane.
Okay. Thank you. Thanks for the time.
All right. Take care.
Okay. All right. So.
Bye-bye.